We're at the, Fastcase Ranch?
The Fastcase Ranch.
In Austin?
In Austin, Texas.
On 6th Street.
Yeah, it's at the American Association of Law Libraries annual meeting in Austin.
Right. And you are?
I'm Ed Walters. I'm the CEO of Fastcase, and I teach the law of robots at Georgetown University Law Center and at Cornell Tech.
You got to be the brilliant guy this afternoon on artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it was like probably the most down-to-earth, skills-based talk about AI we possibly could have done. Really just talking about individual tools, trying to demystify them a little bit, and just talk about how individual people would use them instead of just subscribing to them.
And it was interesting, a couple of points that you made. Now I can probably get my head together at 5:30 in the afternoon after going all day again. But just the amount of people using them. I think you said it's a infinitesimally small percent of people even using them. But then the point you made following up was it's going to be us. You said the libraries, the people in information management, knowledge management. They're going to drive the use of things that can facilitate the ability to compete.
Yeah, that's right.
Why do you think? And I'm getting a better feel of seeing the passion of the people at this conference.
Right.
But why do you feel it's going to be them as opposed to other people in organizations?
Well, I'm going to echo Professor Gabe Tenenbaum, who gave the keynote for the PLL IP Summit here. But Professor Gabe Tenenbaum says, how many firms are using these tools? It's like almost none, right? How many firms should be? It should be like 100%. And he said, who's gonna lead the charge? Who's going to use artificial intelligence to gain firm insights? Is it going to be partners at the firms? Probably not. They don't have time to screw around with AI, right? They're trying to practice law, right? Is it going to be young associates? Probably not. They don't teach this stuff in law schools. It's probably going to be the information professionals in the library who are using artificial intelligence in law firms. So what we're trying to do here, that we're just rolling out this new concept, this Fastcase AI Sandbox, with the idea that you should demystify artificial intelligence. You can do great things with a data science degree, but you don't have to have a data science degree to use them. And so we're trying to create a culture of not read-only AI, but read-write AI. People can use the tools themselves.
Yeah, I think it was Gabe that also talked about you don't need to be a technologist to do legal technology, and you could be the person with the ideas about how we could harness these things. The other thing that you mentioned, and it probably goes where people in libraries are more likely to accept the logic, is we want to use it and fail as fast as we can.
Right, that's right.
So if you went into a managing partner's office and said, well, the way we're going to learn this thing is we're going to fail publicly, but when we fail really big, we know we're onto something.
All right, that's right.
And that probably isn't going to work. Because what did you say at one time? You might have called the AI Sandbox or the Fastcase.
Yeah, we're going to call it the Fastcase AI Labs. It was going to be called Fail.
But fail fast.
Somebody here had a great idea last night. They said you should do a greatest misses page, like on Fastcase, and you should list out all the things that you tried to do and failed, all the things that you did wrong, right? It would be a great idea. It would be cool to have kind of a list of all the things that you tried and screwed up, but that ultimately led to something really cool. And in law, we have this kind of horrible aversion to failure, right? A failure is something to be avoided at all costs. Never ever fail, right? But in software development, you should fail fast, do it all the time, really fail in a spectacular way, but then also learn from your mistakes, move forward faster, and then quickly get to the success that it's going to lead to.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We're working on now the feeds coming into Fastcase from the blogs. We already have the ability to, somebody's site, it drops down to link to Fastcase database. But Jared, our head of products, was getting ready to deliver all the feeds to you guys last week.
Right.
And he goes, if I give them all the raw feeds, it could be just shit on shit. And I said, that's what we want. Because until we see the shit on shit, we won't know what's going to be really good.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't mean we have to take that live, but we can see what it looks like and then play with what we would have to do. Don't try to fix it yet till we see how it's going to come together.
So this is maker culture, right? I mean, if you are a software developer or you're an engineer or if you build Legos, right? Mistakes are something to be relished. You want to make those mistakes, get them done fast, and you can learn from them, right? And we just don't do it in law. So hopefully we can have a little bit more of the kind of hacker, maker, fail fast culture in in law firms.
Let me ask you some questions about the whole history of Fastcase, because you're how many years now?
We're coming up on 18 years, our 18th anniversary.
So it's not like you launched last year. And now, now you have, an Airbnb place with a pool in the back and all this stuff on 6th Street in Austin, hosting hundreds of people. You and Phil first came here how many years ago, or what do you think?
I think the first year was 2001.
And Phil's a co-founder.
Yeah,
also a former
my
lawyer.
Co-founder Phil Rosenthal. We worked together at Covington and Burling, and the first year he came here, I mean, AALL kind of adopted us and adopted Phil. The first person we told we were leaving our law firm was Roberta Schaefer, the law firm librarian at Covington and Burling, and David Mao, her assistant at Covington. And law librarians have always been our secret weapon. This is how we built Fastcase.
And you never told me until about 3 years ago. He said you need to get to this conference. It took me 3 years to get here.
Right? Why don't you go to this conference? But now you see why
I know exactly.
Why I like it, right?
I know exactly why.
So these are the kind of information ninjas we want to work with, and these are people who told us over the years, like, hey, you know what Fastcase should do? You should do this. And we try to build those suggestions into Fastcase like over and over again. And this is our tribe, man.
But at that time, you probably had something about as big as a card table with you and Phil sitting at it with with probably something that you printed out that said Fastcase that you put up with safety pins on the cards.
Post-it notes everywhere. Right?
Yeah, because you watch that, and I think sometimes people think that you start a company and you're an overnight success, and they forget that you're slugging around to the cheapest hotels that you can get on, like you go to Priceline and you try to go, okay, I'm going to select a 4 and I didn't get it, but I can add a variable on a place that doesn't have 4 stars and see if I can get it.
Did I tell you about that? I
do the same thing and you do it. And so you do all this crazy stuff and you spend, sometimes I'll be spending, you realize, how many hours did I spend on trying to find the perfect hotel for the cheapest cost for going to a week in New York or to DC or these places. Right. I don't do it as much as I used to, but people don't realize that that's what you're doing to start these things and get the traction.
Right. We used to stay at the Motel 5 because the Motel 6 was too expensive.
It can get very scary in New York and San Francisco. Totally true. Although I was envious of you because you could take a train back to DC.
Right.
And stay in New York.
Right.
So, just paint some picture. Really, if you're sitting here talking to somebody that's got a legal startup idea, it obviously doesn't cost as much as it did back in 2000 with technology. All the things that are available to you. But what's been the progress, and what would you tell people, from this progression of Fastcase?
Yeah, well, I would say the first thing that's really an advantage right now is open source. Yeah. Right? It just didn't exist when we got started in 1999. But now, when you have the ability to build on the backs of other people, to stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Yep. It's a huge advantage. You can use so many open source tools. So that's good. 2, I think the legal tech culture is better than it ever was, right? So legal hackers groups and people who invest in legal tech companies, right? So when Phil and I were trying to get started, we were trying to raise venture money, and you couldn't at all raise venture money, right? Because legal tech was like toxic. Nobody wanted to touch it. But now legal tech is kind of sexy.
I did it in '99.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm sure I would do it again.
You're like the only one who raised money in legal tech in '99, right?
No, maybe that was it. They probably thought this is unique. We never had a legal show up in the Silicon Valley.
Right.
And I was naive, so I didn't know that people were supposed to say no.
This is a unicorn. What is this? Right.
But you're right. The open source thing is fascinating. And it took. I think it was Brad Smith and I was speaking at the same conference. He was speaking at the chief legal counsel, now president of Microsoft. And he was explaining how open source was used, because I couldn't figure out how anybody made money using something that was free, and how could they sell what they got for free.
Right.
And the idea, obviously, is you're building the open source becomes maybe a core of certain things you're using, or it plugs into the core platform that you have, and you get to use it. And your developers that are really smart can figure out how to put the enhancements in it and the features and the upgrades to keep it moving along. And for us, it's a godsend. For us to move over from other environments into WordPress core, right. And then we build a platform that sits on top of that. You made that in the same session, but Kat's talked about the last mile.
Right, exactly.
And so open source of course it's free. We're not going to charge you for that.
Right.
But you may want the last mile to your house to be able to use it. To use it. What's the latest stuff that Fastcase has been talking to people about at this conference?
There's two things really. The first is Fastcase 7, like the new version of our platform.
Right.
We've been working on this for a couple of years, and now we're pushing it out into the world. It's cool. It's a more visual version of Fastcase. It's more analytic. It's cleaner and more beautiful. And so the things you can do now with Fastcase 7 are very powerful.
See, we're hanging out in a bar that's
right.
It's called Fat. But
yes. You're just about to be in a Facebook Live video.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. But so what Fastcase is doing, I mean, a lot of the legal research companies, it's not so much the research that people are selling, this raw research that they used to sell. It's the use of it, and the visualization of it, and what you can glean from it by patterns of data. Because I watched you today, you had people, sitting there and standing around you as you're visualizing things on, bar graphs. Like I'm asking somebody, working for Fastcase background, what is that?
What in the heck is that?
Oh, that's a histogram. I go, how's histogram spelled?
So this is the second thing we've been talking about at the conference, which is the Fastcase AI Sandbox. And the idea here is that we create private environments where people can become AI makers, right? So you can not have just a culture of AI read only, but AI read write. So people can not just subscribe to AI services, but they can build their own. Right. So we're trying to demystify artificial intelligence by having people build tools with AI tools. So the Fastcase AI Sandbox is going to have Fastcase data in it, like judicial opinions or statutes or metadata about the Fastcase database or metadata about Pacer. And then firms will have their own private, secure server where they can upload their data into that sandbox. And then they can use like the IBM Watson developer cloud tools or the Lex Predict tools like Contract Suite and Neurologic, and really build their own applications inside of law firms. And they don't have to be like these giant enterprise production ready things. They can be small projects like a brief bank.
Oh, you talk about that today, so it doesn't have to be this big behemoth thing.
Right.
Pick some small pilot project.
Yeah, and, the small things will be more successful, right?
And load this amount in and then play with it and see what you glean out of it.
Right.
I think you quoted Katz after that and talked about just even a small competitive advantage that you would glean from the data is what the finance companies proved to work.
Yeah. So Dan Katz and Mike Bomarito have talked about this, about how in finance firms would use AI tools to get like an insight that gave them just a little advantage over the average, right? And that difference is called an alpha, and that alpha drove like trillions of dollars of value, right? Law firms have never done that, but now the tools are democratized enough and easy enough to buy and use that law firms and information professionals in them can get these kind of like small insights that can be an alpha to their strategic advantage.
And it only takes, I mean, horse that wins the Kentucky Derby can win by a nose.
Right.
And nobody remembers who finished the second.
That's right.
And they did something that was just a little bit more than the other two horses that finished right behind.
That's right. And, in these beauty contests, right, when a law firm is trying to win the business of, like, Google or somebody, right, it might just be like the analytics, the data analysis that firms do that is that extra nose that wins the Kentucky Derby. And that can be like a, many tens or hundreds of millions of dollar piece of business.
Yeah, and it just being, it's very cool. I mean, and I'm sitting here listening to it, and you started this company, X number of years ago, and you have these behemoth companies. Reed Elsevier that owns LexisNexis. You got Thomson Reuters that now owns Westlaw. It was Westlaw alone before. And you're sitting here setting up server environments and instances for major law firms. And say,
right.
We don't really need to charge you for this type of stuff. We'd like you to play in this area that we've created for you. And in this area, we pull things in from places like IBM. Right. And you're letting them play around. And you'll learn from it. They're going to learn from it. And you enrich a relationship. And then I think about, a meeting. You haven't worked in one of those companies yet, but I'm imagining a meeting like over lunch. What's the approach we're going to take to this type of thing? And it's very hard because people are got to deliver this, deliver that, and deliver this on their own project, and you don't have the opportunity to play.
Right.
But once you, just an observation of Fastcase, once you get to that point, where you have a really strong customer base and deep relationships, whether it's with bar associations and law firms, you have the fuel and the resources to now experiment, because you don't you don't need 300 people working for you, and you become very efficient in how you work. So now you have these financial resources that can fuel things that even can get further ahead of other people. So I laud you for what you've done. Let's walk around. Let's walk around Tech Ranch. Turn this thing on, see if that actually.
And actually, we can walk and talk. I want to also say one other thing we're talking about here.
No, we're looking at what, the bar here.
Yeah, this is the bar. It's actually kind of empty right now.
No. But at midnight it's not filled.
Fire up the margarita machine. It's Austin after all. It's hot outside.
And we're looking through the window back at what, a pool?
Yeah, this is the indoor pool at the Fastcase Ranch, the Hacienda, depending on who you ask.
And if you could imagine at about 11 o'clock tonight, and what was Sunday night and Monday night, filled with corporate executives, library science people from law libraries, large law firms that rolled up their pant legs, and they're sitting in the pool with their legs in there, drinking cocktails and beers and wine.
Yeah, that's right. It's very civilized.
Pretty amazing thing.
Right. Actually, you should show the over here, like the kind of coolers and the.
Yeah, we have all the beer set up, so people can come through.
Great.
It doesn't look like the limes are set out yet for the Coronas, but they soon will be. You got the hors d'oeuvres here.
Right. So you can sort of see back here, like this is a house on 6th, and there's even a library in the front of it. And so there's actually 2 different upstairs.
You want to walk upstairs?
Sure. I think a virtual tour.
We're going on a virtual tour of the
ranch.
Now we'll bore everybody.
So actually, this is the Graber House, which was designed by a pretty famous architect who worked at the University of Texas, right in the middle of the busiest commercial street in Austin. You can see, like, they created these like cool bedrooms and living spaces.
Yeah,
not sure why a double bedroom, but
it's what the other night. I mean, people they're standing up here, they're hanging out.
Yeah,
having
actually,
a drink.
We're doing a lot of demos up here. Like, people who build legal tech are like showing each other and showing like what they've built, which I love. It's like geeky, fantastic. Yeah, this is actually one of the demo rooms.
Yeah, you can do demos right on the screen.
We have that.
How'd you get this place?
Oh, we Airbnb'd it.
Think about that. You see, somebody goes to an app and says, "I think we'll need a facility to host hundreds of people."
Right.
And as I understand it, the reason you got to have this is because if you get 200 people in a suite it's kind of tough to keep them quiet enough.
Right. Even law librarians, right? The irony of hotel security shutting down a suite full of law librarians is lost on nobody.
Because you didn't have a hall patrol.
Right. Last year, I'm not exaggerating, we rented every hotel room on the floor with our hospitality suite.
Oh, just try to quiet it out.
Yeah, and it didn't work. We still got noise complaints. But you can't be shut down by hotel security if you're not in a hotel.
So let's give people a picture of what the context is of this place on 6th Street.
Yeah, okay.
Although at this time of day, there's no police on horseback with the streets closed off.
It should be pretty quiet on a Monday afternoon.
I was amazed on Sunday night it wasn't quiet.
Right. It wasn't quiet.
It didn't look a whole lot different than Saturday night.
Can you show the flag up here?
Yeah, we can go walk around and see. If you're walking down 6th Street in Austin, imagine on a Saturday night, the whole street's closed, there's no cars running on it, and it looks like a Disneyland of bars, and you're seeing all the...
I parked my car across the street there.
Yeah, that's a nice car. But you're seeing all the bars, and then you walk down and you see Fastcase.
All right.
And then you have to use your employees as bouncers.
We do have to use our employees as bouncers, that's true.
That's right, the chair isn't even sitting here. Well, that was pretty good, Ed. I don't know that we need to bore people any longer, but thank you very much for doing that. I guess we're not on, so we don't need to do that.